In the vastness of space, the Galactic Empire ruled with an iron fist. Their ships soared through the stars, bringing fear to many. But now, something strange was happening near the giant planet Jupiter. The Empire's sensors picked up a powerful signal, unlike anything they had seen before. Commander Alara, a skilled officer with a sharp mind, was called to investigate this mysterious occurrence. Alara stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Starbreaker, gazing at the swirling clouds of Jupiter. She could see its massive storms raging below, but something else was happening. The energy readings from the planet were off the charts. "What are the humans doing?" she wondered aloud, feeling a knot of unease in her stomach. The Empire had always underestimated humans, but they knew the Earthlings were clever. She didn't want to be caught off guard. Ilara quickly summoned her crew. "Prepare the fleet for a close approach to Jupiter. We need to find out what's causing this signal," she commanded. Her crew sprang into action, their faces focused and determined. Ilara felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. This could be a great opportunity for the Empire, or it could lead to disaster. Meanwhile, on the surface of Jupiter, Captain Riley was hard at work. He was a brilliant scientist who had spent years studying the planet's unique properties. In secret, he had been working on a project that could change everything for humanity. The idea of transforming Jupiter into a warship had seemed impossible, but now it was becoming a reality. Riley stood in the control center, surrounded by advanced machines and flashing screens. His team of scientists worked tirelessly, connecting devices and monitoring energy levels. They had already begun harnessing the planet's immense gravitational force and raw energy. The transformation process was underway, and Riley felt a surge of hope. "This is our chance to show the galaxy what humanity is capable of," he exclaimed. As the Starbreaker drew closer to Jupiter, Alara's crew picked up strange readings. It looked like a huge energy source was building up inside the planet. "Commander, the energy levels are rising rapidly!" one of her officers shouted. Alara's heart raced. The humans were up to something big, and she had to find out what it was. Suddenly, alarms blared on the ship. "Incoming message from the Empire!" another crew member reported. Ilara took a deep breath, knowing the higher-ups would want answers. She activated the communication link. "This is Commander Ilara of the Starbreaker. We are approaching Jupiter and need more information about the signal," she stated confidently. On the other end, a stern voice replied. "Ilara, we need you to assess the situation immediately. The Empire cannot allow humans to gain any advantage. Do whatever it takes to neutralize the threat." The message ended abruptly, leaving Ilara feeling the weight of her responsibility. "Prepare for a full scan of the planet," she ordered, her mind racing. "We need to know what we're dealing with." As the crew worked to gather information, Ilara's thoughts drifted to the humans. They had always been underestimated by the Empire, but now they were showing signs of ingenuity that could change the game. Back on Jupiter, Riley was making progress. The machines hummed with energy, and he could feel the planet responding to their commands. "We're almost there!" he shouted to his team. Excitement filled the room as they watched the energy readings spike higher and higher. They were turning Jupiter into a warship, and it was working. Riley had a vision of the future where humanity stood strong, no longer the underdogs of the galaxy. He believed they could fight back against the Empire and earn respect. Little did he know that Ilara and her fleet were closing in, ready to confront whatever was happening on Jupiter. As the two forces moved closer to a collision course, the tension in the galaxy grew. The Empire's ships were on high alert, and the humans were ready to unleash their bold plan. The stage was set for a confrontation that would change everything. Ilara and Riley were about to discover just how powerful humanity could be, and the Empire would soon learn that they were not as invincible as they believed. The atmosphere around Jupiter crackled with energy. Inside the control center, Captain Riley watched as the screens displayed a swirling mix of data and graphics. The project to transform Jupiter into a warship was no longer a mere dream. It was happening right before his eyes. His team was buzzing with excitement, their faces lit up by the glow of the monitors. "Are the energy levels stable?" Riley asked, his voice steady despite the thrill of the moment. One of his engineers, a young woman named Lila, nodded eagerly. "Yes, Captain. We're harnessing the planet's gravitational force perfectly. It's working better than we ever imagined." Riley felt a surge of pride. They were on the brink of something incredible. But he knew they needed to act quickly. The Galactic Empire was approaching, and if they didn't complete the transformation in time, All their hard work could be for nothing. Let's push the systems to their limits! We need Jupiter to be fully operational before the Empire arrives. Meanwhile, on the Starbreaker, Commander Alara was getting anxious. The signals from Jupiter were becoming stronger, and her sensors were picking up massive energy fluctuations. What are they doing down there? She wondered, frowning at the displays. It can't be good. Alara called her officers to the command center. We need to prepare for anything. The humans might have some new trick up their sleeves. I want all weapon systems on standby, she ordered. Her crew responded quickly, but deep down, Alara felt a nagging doubt. Could the humans truly turn a planet into a warship? As the Starbreaker moved closer, the planet loomed large on their view screen. The swirling storms of Jupiter seemed to pulse with life. Look at those energy readings, an officer exclaimed. They're off the charts! We've never seen anything like this before. Alara's heart raced. They're doing something revolutionary. We need to find out what it is and fast! She knew that if the Empire underestimated the humans again, it could lead to disaster. Back on Jupiter, Riley and his team were hard at work. The machines around them hummed with power as they activated the first phase of the transformation. Engage the energy converters, Riley shouted. The room shook as enormous turbines began to spin, drawing in the planet's energy. Lila and the others watched in awe as the data screens filled with bright colors and high numbers. This is amazing, Lila exclaimed, her eyes wide. If we can keep this up, we'll have a warship capable of defending Earth. Riley nodded, but his mind was focused on the task ahead. Keep monitoring the systems. We can't afford any mistakes. The stakes were high, and he felt the pressure weighing on his shoulders. They had to prove that humanity was not weak, but strong and capable. As the transformation progressed, the humans began to notice something strange happening. The storms on Jupiter seemed to respond to their actions. Lightning crackled and surged through the clouds as if the planet was alive and aware of what was happening. It's like Jupiter knows what we're doing, Lila said, her voice filled with wonder. Riley smiled. Maybe it does. We're not just transforming the planet, we're awakening its potential. He felt a deep connection to Jupiter, sensing that they were on the verge of creating something extraordinary together. Back on the Starbreaker, Alara was growing more concerned. The energy readings were becoming increasingly unstable, and she realized they were running out of time. Increase our approach speed! We need to get a visual on what's happening down there, she commanded, her eyes fixed on the view screen. As they moved closer, the Empire's ships prepared for a possible confrontation. Alara could sense the tension among her crew. They were all aware that this was no ordinary mission. The humans were doing something groundbreaking, and the Empire needed to be ready for anything. With Jupiter ahead, Riley and his team were nearing the final stages of their transformation. The energy was building, and they could feel the excitement in the air. This is it! Riley shouted. We're about to show the galaxy what humans can do. Just as they were about to complete the activation, a deep rumble shook the control center. Alarms blared and lights flashed. What's happening? Lila yelled, panic rising in her voice. Hold on! Riley shouted, trying to steady himself as the room shook. We're close! Keep working. As chaos unfolded, Alara watched from her ship, her heart pounding. She could sense that something big was about to happen, and the fate of both the Empire and humanity hung in the balance. The stage was set for an epic showdown, and neither side was ready to back down. The tension in the cosmos was thick as the Starbreaker neared Jupiter. Commander Alara stood at the bridge, her eyes fixed on the massive planet ahead. The swirling storms and vibrant energy fields made it look alive. She felt a mix of fear and determination. The Empire could not allow the humans to gain control over such a powerful force. Status report! She ordered, her voice strong. An officer quickly replied, Commander, we are entering Jupiter's outer atmosphere. Energy levels are spiking. The humans are preparing for something big. Alara frowned. Prepare the weapon systems. We need to be ready for anything. If they launch an attack, we have to respond immediately. On Jupiter, Captain Riley was focused on the chaos unfolding around him. The control center shook as alarms blared and screens flickered with warning messages. What's going on? Lila shouted, her eyes wide with fear. It's the energy buildup, Riley replied, trying to stay calm. We need to stabilize it before we can complete the transformation. He felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. If they failed, all their hard work would be lost. As the crew worked furiously, the energy in the control center surged higher. We're almost there! Just a little longer, Riley urged. He could sense that Jupiter was responding to their efforts, but the power was becoming harder to control. Suddenly, a violent tremor rocked the center. The systems are failing, Lila cried out, her hands flying over the controls. We need more power. We'll have to draw from the planet itself, Riley decided, gritting his teeth. Open the energy channels. The crew exchanged worried glances, but they trusted him. They had come too far to back down now. Meanwhile, Ilara's fleet was on high alert. Commander, we're detecting strange energy waves coming from Jupiter, an officer reported. It's unlike anything we've seen. Ilara's mind raced. They're doing something dangerous. We need to take action before it's too late. She felt the weight of the Empire's expectations on her shoulders. The humans were not just a threat, they were becoming a force to be reckoned with. Launch a warning shot across their bow, Ilara ordered. The crew quickly complied, and a beam of light shot out from the Starbreaker, illuminating the dark space. It exploded near the edge of Jupiter, sending shock waves through the atmosphere. On Jupiter, the warning shot was seen as a challenge. Riley looked out at the view from the control center, his heart racing. They're warning us. They think we're weak. He felt a rush of anger and determination. Let's show them what we can do. Engage all systems, activating the planet's defense mechanisms. Lila shouted, her fingers flying over the controls. The machines whirred to life and Jupiter began to respond. The massive storms grew fiercer, and bolts of lightning flashed around them, creating a spectacular display. As the Starbreaker moved closer, Ilara's eyes widened. They're readying their defenses, she shouted. Prepare to engage. Suddenly, a massive wave of energy burst from Jupiter, striking the Starbreaker with incredible force. The ship shook violently and alarms blared. We're taking damage, an officer yelled, struggling to stay upright. Return fire, Ilara ordered, her voice firm. We need to regain control. The crew worked quickly, firing back at the energy wave. A bright explosion lit up the darkness of space, and Ilara's heart raced. The battle intensified as both sides exchanged powerful attacks. The Starbreaker launched volley after volley of energy beams, while Jupiter's storms retaliated with strikes of lightning that lit up the night sky. Riley watched in awe as the planet responded to their commands, showing its might. This is amazing, he exclaimed, feeling a rush of adrenaline. We're holding them off. But the Empire was relentless. They're fighting back harder than we expected, Ilara yelled, frustration building. We need to break their defenses. She knew that failure was not an option. With every attack, the stakes grew higher. The Starbreaker and Jupiter clashed in a dance of power and determination. Each side fought fiercely, neither willing to back down. As the battle raged on, it became clear that this was not just a fight for control over Jupiter, but a fight for the future of humanity itself. Riley focused on the controls, determined to keep the momentum going. Let's push it harder. We can't let them win, he shouted. The energy around them pulsed with life, and he felt the spirit of Jupiter flowing through him. Ilara gritted her teeth, determination filling her heart. We will not lose to the humans, she declared. The battle for control was just beginning, and both sides were ready to fight to the bitter end. The battle raged on around Jupiter, a fierce clash of power and will. Commander Ilara gripped the console on the Starbreaker, her heart racing as she watched her crew struggle to regain control. The energy waves from the planet were relentless, crashing against her ship like waves against a rocky shore. It felt like a storm that would never end. Status report! Ilara shouted, her voice steady despite the chaos. An officer turned to her, sweat beading on his forehead. We've lost some systems, Commander. The shields are weakening, and we need to stabilize the energy output from the engines. Ilara's mind raced. We can't let them overwhelm us. Get our weapons ready for another strike. She could see the determination in her crew's eyes. They were fighting not just for the Empire, but for their lives. Meanwhile, on Jupiter, Captain Riley was filled with a mix of fear and hope. The control center shook as the planet's storm surged with energy. We need to harness more power, he yelled to Lila and the team. If we can channel Jupiter's storms, we might have a chance to turn the tide in our favor. Lila nodded, her fingers flying over the controls. Activating the storm channels. Get ready! With a series of beeps and flashes, the team focused all their efforts on directing the planet's immense power toward the Empire's ships. The atmosphere crackled with energy, and the air felt alive. As the crew worked, Riley's heart raced. He could feel the weight of the moment. "This is our time," he declared, his voice filled with conviction. "We have to show them that humanity will not back down." Outside, the storms began to swirl faster, and the energy readings climbed higher. It was as if Jupiter itself was awakening, ready to join the fight. On the Starbreaker, Ilara saw the change in the energy patterns. "They're doing something!" she shouted. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers." The ship swerved just in time as a massive bolt of lightning shot toward them, illuminating the darkness of space. The lightning struck where the ship had been moments before, creating a brilliant explosion that lit up the night. The crew gasped, and Ilara felt her heart skip a beat. "They're fighting back with everything they have. We need to respond!" With renewed determination, she called out, "Fire at will! We cannot let them take control!" Her crew responded with a roar, launching beams of energy toward the storm. The Starbreaker shook as the ship rocked from the impact of its own weapons. Back on Jupiter, Riley watched as the bolts of lightning soared toward the Empire's ships. "It's working! We're pushing them back!" he shouted, excitement bubbling in his chest. The planet was responding, and for the first time he felt hope. "Let's amplify the storm's energy," Lila suggested, her eyes shining with determination. "If we can channel it directly into their ship, we might win this battle." "Do it!" Riley commanded, his heart pounding. The crew focused all their energy on the task at hand. The storms on Jupiter grew wilder, lightning flashing and wind howling as the planet prepared to unleash its might. Just as they finished charging, another wave of energy from the Starbreaker struck, hitting them hard. The control center shuddered, and alarms blared again. "We're losing power!" Lila shouted, fear creeping into her voice. "Hold steady! We can't give up now!" Riley urged. He could see the determination in his team's eyes. They had come too far to back down. With one final push, they unleashed the energy stored from the storms, directing it straight toward the Empire's flagship. Outside, the massive bolt of energy soared through space, striking the Starbreaker with a blinding flash. Ilara was thrown backward, the force knocking the breath out of her. "Damage report!" she gasped, struggling to regain her composure. The crew rushed to assess the situation. "Shields are down! We're taking damage!" an officer yelled. Ilara's heart sank. They had to regroup and find a way to stabilize the ship before it was too late. "Get us out of here!" Ilara ordered, her voice firm. "We need to regroup and reassess our strategy." The ship began to pull back, the crew working furiously to stabilize systems. On Jupiter, Riley watched as the Empire's ship retreated, his heart racing with triumph. "We did it! We turned the tide!" he shouted, exhilaration pouring through him. His crew cheered, the weight of their struggle lifting as they felt the victory within reach. But deep down, Riley knew this was just the beginning. The Empire would not give up easily. They would come back stronger and more determined. He turned to his team, a fire igniting in his eyes. "Let's finish what we started. We need to prepare for the next attack." As the storm raged around them, both sides knew that this battle was far from over. The fight for control over Jupiter would determine the fate of humanity and the Galactic Empire, and both sides were ready to give everything they had. The air crackled with tension as the dust settled from the recent battle. Jupiter loomed majestically in the distance, its swirling storms a testament to the power that had been unleashed. Captain Riley stood in the control center, heart racing, as he and his crew celebrated their hard-won victory. They had successfully defended their home and shown the Galactic Empire that humanity would not be underestimated. "Great job, everyone!" Riley exclaimed, his voice ringing with pride. "We've shown them what we can do when we work together." "This is just the beginning!" Lila smiled, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "If we can turn a planet into a warship, just imagine what else we can achieve." The crew cheered, their spirits high after the battle. They had faced an incredible challenge and emerged victorious. But amidst the celebration, Riley felt a pang of concern. The Empire would not take this defeat lightly. "We need to prepare for a counterattack," he said, his expression turning serious. "They'll be back, and we have to be ready." Meanwhile, on the Starbreaker, Commander Ilara was rallying her crew after the retreat. Frustration and anger boiled within her as she surveyed the damage. "We underestimated them," she admitted, her voice steady but fierce. "But we won't make the same mistake again. Prepare to regroup and launch another attack." Her officers nodded, determination etched on their faces. "We'll learn from this battle, Commander." "We can't let the humans get away with their victory," one officer said, fists clenched in resolve. Ilara nodded, her mind racing. She needed a plan to reclaim their control over Jupiter and show the galaxy that the Empire was still a force to be reckoned with. "Let's analyze their strategy. We'll find their weaknesses and exploit them." Back on Jupiter, Riley and his team were busy fortifying their defenses. They had transformed the planet into a powerful warship, but now they needed to ensure it could withstand another attack. Lila worked alongside the engineers, her face lit with excitement. "If we can reinforce the energy shields, we can hold them off even longer. Let's do it," Riley replied, determination shining in his eyes. They were ready to show the Empire that humanity was capable of extraordinary things. As the crew worked, the energy levels around Jupiter began to stabilize. The planet was responding to their commands, and Riley could feel a sense of unity between them and their home. "It's like we're part of something bigger," he said, glancing around at his team. Lila nodded, her smile warm. "We're not just fighting for survival, we're fighting for our future." Her words resonated deeply with Riley, and he felt the weight of their mission even more. Days passed, and preparations continued. The tension between the Empire and humanity hung thick in the air. Both sides knew that a new confrontation was inevitable. As Ilara's fleet gathered its strength, Riley's team worked tirelessly to improve their defenses and weaponry. Then the day arrived. Scanners picked up the Empire's ships approaching, their massive forms darkening the skies above Jupiter. "They're back!" Lila shouted, urgency lacing her voice. "We need to get ready! Battle stations!" Riley commanded, adrenaline pumping through his veins. The crew took their positions, ready to defend their home once more. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation, and everyone knew that this battle would be even more crucial than the last. As the Empire's ships entered Jupiter's atmosphere, Ilara felt a surge of determination. "This time we'll strike first! Prepare to fire at will!" Her crew nodded, hearts racing with the thrill of battle. They had learned from their mistakes and were ready to unleash their full might. Riley could see the Empire's ships closing in on them, their weapons primed and ready. "Stay focused," he shouted to his team. "We've come too far to lose now." The battle erupted with a deafening roar. Energy beams lit up the dark sky and the sounds of chaos filled the air. Jupiter's storms roared to life, lightning flashing as the planet responded to the humans' commands. It was a dazzling display of power as both sides unleashed their might. As the fight raged on, something shifted in the atmosphere. Riley could feel it, a connection between him, his crew, and Jupiter. The planet felt alive, as if it was fighting alongside them. "Together we can do this!" he shouted, rallying his crew. In the heart of the battle, the tides began to turn once more. The Empire's ships faltered under the combined force of the humans and Jupiter's storms. Ilara watched in disbelief as her fleet struggled against the relentless attack. "We can't lose!" she cried out, refusing to back down. But as the chaos continued, a realization struck both sides. This battle was not just about power, it was about unity and hope. Both the humans and the Empire were fighting for their beliefs, for their future. And as the energy crackled and surged around them, it became clear that a new beginning was on the horizon. Whether they emerged victorious or not, both sides would have to rethink their approach to one another. The galaxy would never be the same again, and the story of humanity and the Empire was far from over.